You mentioned MOOCs, and I think you've written in your column that you imagine in 5 years they could really change sort of the access and, the access and the graduation rates maybe. Can you talk a little bit about sort of where you see, what you think of MOOCs now, just for people who might not know, and then what you think they can be in 5 years, or even 2 years, what they could be?
Yeah, I really think, again, I think this is the beginning of a real revolution, because for any number of reasons. One is, first of all, I think everyone's got to keep in mind, MOOCs are in their Alta Vista stage. Google hasn't even been invented yet. So this is right, they're in the garage still. They haven't come out of the garage, or they're just about to do it. Because you read a lot of criticism, I see this in the ed press sometime, only 10% of those kids, who start a MOOC, finish a MOOC. By the way, I think that completely misses the point, because you have a lot of older adults who just want to listen in on a lecture and be educated. You have no idea how someone might be inspired by watching one of these, whether they take the test or not. So I wouldn't get too caught up in that statistic. I think there's a tendency to see that as something that is necessarily a certain downside. Higher education has gotten too expensive. There's no longer a connection between the price you pay for that average of kind of $200,000 a year for a private liberal arts education and the job, $200,000 for 4 years, excuse me, and the job and return you can hope to get on that in the near future. So let's go back. Again, let's try to put it in context. What happened is when the world got hyper-connected, so every middle-class job started to go 3 directions at once. It started to go up. It required more education to get. It started to go out. More people in the world could compete for that job, and machines and software. And it started to go down. It started to be outsourced to history, become obsolete faster. So every job's going like this, much, much faster. So what happened in industry was industry intuited that universities, community colleges, were actually not sending them people with the skills they wanted. And that created a source of frustration for them. So whether you were Google or you were Caterpillar, what they started to do was to demand certificates, basically. You want to work for Google now, a college degree is no longer a proxy for your right to be hired at Google. So they discovered there was actually a disconnect between straight A's in college, or there was no real correlation between straight A's in college and a 4-year degree and the kind of employee they wanted. So they started chafing, and they started demanding new forms of certification. There's an explosion of this going on around the country. And at the same time, I think university or students and parents will realize I'm paying all this money, and I'm actually not getting the certificate I need to get a good job. And into this comes the MOOC, thanks to the hyperconnecting in the world, that says I can now give you access to the best educators in the world in any number of fields at a price point that will allow you to flip a classroom and basically use your teachers in a so much more effective way, much more as tutors, coaches, enablers, and inspirers. So this is coming, and I think it's going to be huge. I think you ignore this revolution at your peril. It makes too much sense.